Hello again, and good morning from beautiful Mesa. How is everyone? We hope you are all doing well in the beauty and grace of you.
Good morning to our lovely Starseed family. We're so glad you're with us. It's awesome that we get to do this again.
There's a seed nut or an acorn in your heart that is there as a reflection of you as a seed. It's time to open that acorn if you can find it in your heart sway, because dreaming from the right side out or dreaming from inside of you out to the world that you know requires you to do so from inside your heart to the outside of the world in Tao dreaming systems. Tao dreaming is not necessarily dreaming in this society at all. And as a yogi of myself, I've diverted dreaming with society by dreaming with Tao in Tao systems. It has many effects on you. For number one, you're always safe. Number two, you receive the support you need. Number three is you live your fate or you live your dreams that should stream. And Tao works with you to bring about the dreams that you need to foster in this life of yours. Tao dreaming is an amazing script all of its own that only seeds can generate. Nobody else can really generate Tao dreaming other than seeds. Seedlings can emulate it, but real seeds can Tao dream because of the acorn in your chest, which is oddly enough not a little camera that broadcasts out on your dream as Asur'Ana originally thought when she started to Tao dream more active physically. She thought, oh, I'm a little camera and I broadcast my dreams out there and then they come to me. Per and Asur'Ana were on the road to an event in Kristiansand, Norway, and there was a huge storm. Per was driving, and it didn't look like they would get where they were going in time because they got on the wrong road around the lake, the long way, and Asur'Ana thought, okay, we have to Tao dream a place to stay. So she Tao dreamed it, and they went by the McDonald's to ask them where there was a hotel. It's 9 o'clock at night, and they got to the hotel. The manager was walking down the stairs to go home for the night. Asur'Ana rolled down the window and he said, oh, do you need a room? The hotel was very inexpensive and they had a large room to themselves and slept peacefully until they drove the rest of the way the next day. They woke up to an amazing sunrise and snowy fields and a beautiful frozen lake. And they had this amazing breakfast spread, which is typical in inns in Norway and Europe too. It was just beautiful, and they got to rest amongst the golden octave of the trees of Norway, which they really needed after a long flight from Iceland and a long drive that day. So Tao dream, and suddenly it aligns. You don't know how it aligns. How did that just align? How did that just come to be that we're there at the hotel? And if we had been 5 minutes later, there'll be nobody there and you have to drive on and find another one in the next town. It was the right place to stay. The trees, the fairies, and the angels say to Asur'Ana, "Oh, we needed to see you. Thank you for staying here tonight." So Tao dreaming rearranges the dream to the focal point of you. So if you have a focal point like Asur'Ana did in that moment, I need a hotel right now because we're getting tired and Pear is not going to drive all the way through. As it turned out, it took another 5 hours, and that's another story that we'll laugh about. So I'll tell you about that too. So it rearranges itself just this way. Here's another Tao dreaming. So they got to the hill of the resort in Sweden, and it's kind of icy, and Asur'Ana was telling Marlene, her friend at the time, "Don't stop, keep going. You can't stop. If you stop, we slide backwards." And she stopped, and the guard slipped backwards, but it didn't go into a ditch. And so Asur'Ana Tao dreamed and Tao dreamed. So Marlene got her cleats on and ran up the hill, and this young man in a red jacket came bounding down the hill. He hopped in the car. He raced it to the bottom of the hill. He wrapped it up and just went zoom all the way up. He helped them with their luggage, and Asur'Ana sighed with relief. We didn't hurt the rental car. And it's just like that when you're not used to snow country. Neither of them was, and Marlene was driving the rental car. But it's like that in Tao dreaming. Suddenly something clicks in that's needed and is there for you. We want to add that sometimes when people get sick, then they can't fulfill upon a dream that they really wanted to. And sometimes we have to let those that can't dream with us out of our lives. And Tao dreaming will do that. It will let go of the people that can't dream with you, either out of your lives or out of your sequences, because they don't align. Tao dreaming is a powerful force of alignment for you and your Tao. Each of you have birth Tao and you have a seed Tao that emerges from the acorn inside yourself. In other webinars, we talked about the egg around you, that's around the body and within it, how it has gates to different places you can traverse to talk to Dao or Tao or angels or nature. The seed has books of knowledge that you can open and reflect upon, and search for your future, or search where you're going. Tao dreaming is a book all of its own. I want you to reach into your library of books of knowledge as a star seed of you, and open the one on Tao dreaming. Let the pages ruffle open, and let the equations emerge into your body and into you as a seed to Tao dream. Now, equations or numerical sequences that adjust the body in a new direction, and equations are an advanced formula of you as a living computer. We're like living computers with numerical equations, and humans derived that concept in the high techno gear of our society and create living emulations of life. In Atlantis, they went way further than anything we'll ever know. They had gear to examine your cortex and decide if it was normal or not with some kind of laser device that witnessed how the cortex fired. They had all kinds of things they developed over time, and some of it really wasn't well for their society either, because they became control freaks in the end, and didn't want children that had the wrong mindset almost at birth, which is really sad. So anyway, that's a whole other story, because techno era can turn into Big Brother, and that's who they became, and that's more towards the tail end of their cycle. The earlier part of their cycle is very beautiful and liberating and freeing, had a lot of emotions that were very gifted. Our society can go into Big Brother some, but there's so many of you that's kind of hard for each government to keep track of. So maybe that's a gift of such an overpopulated society, as Big Brother is pretty much impossible. It was in their society because there was only 100,000, and they could keep track of each one, and in the end they did, and you have to have a card to almost go anywhere, and that's sad. So it lost its sense of freedom in the end. But anyway, this society emulates non-freedom, and that's our only point in this. When you Tao dream, suddenly you're free to dream what you would like to dream, and not necessarily what arranges itself at societal programming classes. There is really no societal programming that interferes with Tao dreaming, and that's what Asur'Ana found out. She goes, oh, the societal systems don't have a say about Tao dreaming because they're very much non-Tao people. They have Dao that's related to the programming of the human condition, and it's sort of a mechanical Dao and not necessarily a real and live Dao. We want a real and live Dao to be with you to help you heal, mend, and live this life to the fullest of who you are. I like you to connect to Dao now and sway with her. Be well with her, for she is a beautiful condition of support. Dao is support, and Tao enforces the support into the dreams of life. They complement each other. They engage with each other. They sway with each other and love each other. And in it is a divine duet of Dao and Tao that love. In the love of the Dao and Tao, your dreams align in care rather than non-care. And so we would want to state that for dreaming in the direction you really want to dream, care is really needed. If you can fluff the heart and find the space to bless and love and find compassion for each and love them no matter what, and then Tao dream, things may really change with the people that you're streaming with, and they really respond to it because many people aren't validated inside themselves, and they need the validation to feel okay in life. The society is kind of blank and sometimes out of body, and in that it's vacant, and then people don't feel like they're acknowledged. So as you love and you bless and you caress and you find care and forgiveness and compassion and you broadcast that in Tao dreaming, dreams align more graciously than you can imagine. When I say that, it's like out of the care of you for them. Your Tao cares for you and aligns the dream to be of care of you, and sometimes of each, but not always, because he's your Tao, not their Tao. So it's a very personal thing to be cared for by Tao, and it's a personal relationship. I have to laugh sometimes because people think they have their personal relationship to Jesus and he talks to them. They're actually talking to their Tao, and that's okay. I don't care what you call Tao. He doesn't care either. Call him Jesus, call him Buddha, call him nature. Call him whatever you want, and he doesn't care. We had to laugh when this Lyft driver drove Asur'Ana and pair home from the airport. She was a seed, and she was telling us all her revelations with Jesus that talks to her, and it was very seed-oriented thinking. And I'm not going to challenge anybody about what works for them. As Asur'Ana said, that's wonderful. That's really cool. You're hearing that and you're doing your thing. So don't judge people that have their religious fervor because there is something inside seas and ceilings in particular that align things in ways that are more astute than you might think. And so we're going to get into the nature of daydreaming in today's society, and that's part of this series that we want to produce for you. Dream stream is a light motion. As you focus on it, you can wrap it around your workplace if you're trying to get hired for a new job. You wrap it around the people involved with hiring you and the company. If it's something else you're striving to do, say if you're in sales and you want to make a deal work, you have to wrap the light stream around the individuals involved, and perhaps until the deal closes. Dream streaming in light is very different from dreams streaming in sound. Dreams streaming in sound had a sound-based format, and you just went into it and dreamt it like unconsciously. Light wave dreaming isn't meant to be unconscious, and yet this society's kind of doing it anyway, kind of in a pseudo-shatar format. And some of them may fall out of the windmill of dream if they don't learn to motion their light around the things that they are desiring to foster. Asur'Ana notices the young people in the sushi bars working there in the places like Trader Joe's or Whole Foods where she shops that they really infuse the business with light, and they're running it around everything, and they think of it as their own home in a way. So the younger people are finding a place to work that they can stream in that feels like home. They don't want to go to work for places that don't feel like home, which may be kind of odd in the odyssey of possibilities that are going on in this society. But we'll see how it goes for them, because if they're gifted, they'll find their camaraderie amongst the people they work with, and it won't be about their job or their tasks. It's about people, and that was always true in Atlantis. It's about the people you know and not what you do. You do what you do, but you love the people you sway with all night, because your minds don't rest, so you're up all night. You have a lot of time to go sway with people, which is kind of fun for that society of theirs. Some of you may find that's true. You have a hard time sleeping at night, and if so, I recommend a large dose of valerian root, maybe 3 nights a week, to rest the spine more. Because if you can't sleep, the spine is always motioning, and it can short out more. If you have shorts or aches and pains in the body, it could be for not resting well enough to let it reset, because when you fall deep asleep, the spine and the nervous system resets. The RSG radionic device is a resource that can reset your nerves for balance, so you don't short out and have aches and pains in the body. But if you're not resting well, then that can be a problem, and that has to do with dreaming at night. So get yourself a valerian root and take 60 or 80 drops perhaps at 9 p.m. and then see if you can rest for at least 2, 3, 4 hours in deep sleep. And then the body resets its nerves and its spine. When you go to sleep, it's not that you're dreaming your day-to-day life. It used to be that you would dream at night, and that isn't true in light, because at night, light doesn't really motion when you go into deep rest. So how can you dream if light isn't motioning? You can't. So streaming is a daylight activity. It's something you do as you live your life, and it doesn't future very far. So you can plan things like, say, you're planning a holiday for this summer and you want to fly here and there. Asur'Ana and Pear did this for Grand Canyon about 2 weeks before they left. So this was a short-term dream streaming for a holiday, 2 weeks. Pear found a lovely resort and planned our dream with his Tao, and it turned out to be a beautiful experience for us with all the musicians we got to sway with in the hotel and in town. So anyway, whatever it is, dreaming for long-term plans doesn't really work. That's why the Atlantean society just kind of roamed from here to there, to there, to here, when they were in their major light affluence, because you couldn't plan for anything. So the leaders planned for something, meaning we have all these things that society needs, and you went off and fulfilled those positions. They had an attitude that anything worked within for more than 4 years was too long. So if you were a lab tech and you did all this stuff, you had to go learn something else. And sometimes people really got, I don't want to be in a hospice kind of condition anymore of people that are coming in sick. I want to go do something else. And they'll go and do something else like design clothing or something extremely creative and opposites to who they were in their condition of dream. This society is so unflow oriented. You end up doing the same thing over and over again, whether you really want to or not. Sometimes when you leap off a cliff and try to change it very heavily, it's very difficult because society doesn't respond to your vision at all as a seed, and that can be very disheartening if you don't get a job and lose something you thought you wanted to have, and it just can't come to be. Therefore, this is our suggestion if you're seeking to make a big change is to go re-educate yourself. Because in the educational system, they'll realign your dream to align with what you envision, and then throw your light through and around in whatever objective you have in this world of yours. Education is open to all age ranges in the West and probably in the East too. So that's a very beautiful thing to do for you. We'll say some things about dream streaming that are very unusual. It can smooth over a sick day. So if you've got people in the office that aren't well, or people coming to you in some way that are unwell, you start to wrap the light around them and it smooths out their word. The word of each spins around them, and sometimes words crack because people don't know how to throw light around their word and heal it. So let's do that now for you, because some of your words are cracked today that we're looking at. So as you roam more light around you, around that egg that's around you, and the world is outside of that of you, and in existential principles, you want to move into existential equations of understanding you, and that's self-realization words. But here today we're looking at words of dreaming for your life and not necessarily realizing you, okay? So first, we wrap a lot of light like a ribbon all the way around the world of you and let it diffrag. So put your word of dreaming your life into one piece, alright? When you go out into the world to work, you're going to be in your world of streaming your life. And if you're in meditation, you're going to be in the world of realizing you. Either way, you need to wrap light around it in order to get it to defrag if it's broken. We don't know why they break, but they do because there's so many. I don't know what I would say. Light shards or weird things showing up in the light stream of humanity. You can infuse now in the golden ray of Micah, because Micah's holding the golden ray on the planet, in addition to the white ray of truth. That's really a silver amalgam, because the gold balances the silver, and in your foundry is the golden ray arch. Is Micah in its formation of relaying to you the golden ray, and you want to wrap a golden ray ribbon around the world of streaming you, outside of the seed that surrounds you, and in that purifies your world of dreaming for your life. Now the golden ray can also go out into the dream stream with others. A long time ago, Asur'Ana talked about the golden ray of the Buddha and the golden octave also of what's known as photonic energy. Photonic energy is still at the base of planet, but not above as much right now. And that's a long story in and of itself we won't go into, because your word is okay, but other things aren't. This is your play, and you need to live it and dream it and be in it and not worry about everything else that Asur'Ana worries about. But anyway, in this golden ray, it will heal or mend the broken ties of your life, so you can dream stream around the broken ties of your life, or people that left or departed or don't speak to you again, and release the need to be broken in your world about people, because sometimes we dream stream with people and suddenly they go away, or with clients, the deal didn't work out or something happened and you can't quite understand it, and you lose your job or something else is going on and you don't know what to do about it. If you dream stream the golden ray around the threads of people that left, it will let the threads go back to them and free you up to call in new others that will foster your life. If you're in sales, this is really important to do, because broken deals or lost deals need to be released to the winds of time so that you can call in something new. And if you've lost a job, you need to release the old job to the winds of time and use the golden ray to sever the ties so that you can send a golden ray out to dream a new job for yourself in ease. There are many things that we would tell you about dream streaming that's very gracious, but the golden octave is perhaps one of the most gracious colors to dream stream in, and people do respond to it in this world of oligarchy society. They like the golden octave because it helps them feel mended, helps them feel whole, and helps them feel beautiful, and helps them balance, and helps them dance differently than they normally would without that ray. Although mica is a very prevalent mineral, this society doesn't draw upon the golden octave in its motions of collective dreaming, and it's not something you can enforce. It's a genetic choice. So somewhere through time, these people lost the golden octave inside themselves, and as such, they don't dream in that. And that's why we have such an ungracious society in many ways that's founded on greed. Greed is really not the silver ray. They don't really dream in silver either. They dream in octaves of turquoise and yellow. Yellow is like an act of mind that thinks of things to do that profit everything. So it's the mind that thinks and thinks and thinks of how to create something that's going to profit. In the techno industry, it's almost obscene to see what's being created along with your department stores and your grocery bins in these mass market stores like Costco and Walmart. Wherever it is, it's mined like that, and that's all they can think of. How to prosper and how to make it big in some way that loses all the human feeling and flavor of the marketplace. Because in light, the marketplace is a place to go socialize. You go and you walk through the market and you get your bread or you get your vegetables. You get this or that and you trade maybe for this or that in a light wave society. It's a joyful encounter of we provide and you provide and I provide and we love, and it's all golden octave. The Native Americans used to run the golden octave in their powwows and in their exchanges, and so did the Aboriginals, and so did the Samis of the North. The Africans did when they were wild and free. It's very sad that many of them have lost that capacity even on the reservation or wherever they live. National parks tend to run the golden octave, and that's a good place to go and hibernate or be well with a cycle of renewal and revival of yourself, which is what Asur'Ana and Pair did when they went to the Grand Canyon system. So the golden octave is still there. the silver octave used to be in the mountains of the planet, and it still is somewhat under the sea, but the mountain caps over the land have lost their silver motion, and we're not sure exactly what happened. In this scene that we have for you on the screen today, which is near Bend, Oregon, that this lake and the mountains are still running a silver octave, and today they may not be. We haven't been there in a while, but it's a beautiful reflection of the silver octave in the land and the golden octave of the sky. The golden octave used to be generated by a condition above the planetary circumference that has died, so that's not available anymore. So the sky doesn't have golden energies anymore, but you can find them through mica. I would advise buying a piece or two of mica and remembering the golden octave a lot, because it's what allows dream streaming to be fluid and beautiful and generate care and understanding between two minds. Gold is very much a mind system that when you run the golden octave and you broadcast it, the minds of others will align with you better. And they won't understand it, but they'll suddenly start to think kind of like you, and then suddenly you can make an agreement to help them or do something else that's really beautiful. Golden octaves are very easy to produce, but not through gold itself. Gold is a metal, and metal doesn't shine in light, but mica is a mineral, and it looks like gold. They may have called it fool's gold, but it does shine golden light, and there's a lot of it in abundance on the planet. Mineral Kingdom turned on a golden octave system in mica about 3 weeks ago. You can draw it into your home and draw it into your body, run it through your molecules, and run it through your system of energy flow, and let it cleanse you or purge you of things that don't align with Tao. We know there are many contaminants in light, and it's the golden octave that cleans that out of your molecules. And so it's important to work with every day as you meditate. Some places are more imbued with the golden octave and others aren't. It's hard to say where the golden octave is or isn't, but by and large, they're in national parks. So if you have a national park nearby, that's a good place to go and kind of sit in the golden octave and charge yourself up some, and charge it up so that you can dream stream in gold more easily. Because although you can bring the golden octave into the foundry, unless you can emulsify in it, it's very difficult to dream stream in gold, which means that you need to dream stream in other colors to foster your life, and we'll explain these too. If you live near a national park, then it's easier, but often the societal systems of that kind of lifestyle are not necessarily very profitable, because it's all around the tourism of the canyon life and what serves it, or the life of whatever national park is there. And you need to be within at least 100 kilometers to have a national park system work for you in golden octave systems. And so if you're not 100 kilometers in that jurisdiction, you could move someplace perhaps like that if you're versatile enough to do so, and it's unfortunately not in lava and not in granite and not in sand or sandstone. The golden octave is in mica, and if there's a reserve of mica underneath the floor of where you live, then you have golden octave underneath you. Asur'Ana discovered there was mica heavily underneath the sandstone of this region, and she was very grateful to understand that finally, because she's drawing that more into her phosphorus. And that's very, very useful to cleansing her. And it is focus. When you focus, light is drawn to you, and gold needs the mica nearby. But national parks generated in a dream of their own that's been there maybe through the eternity of the planet, because when the planet was in its full bloom, it was solid gold. You wouldn't think of that because of its blue reservoirs of ocean and all of that became because of the ice galaxy above it that sank. And that ice galaxy was part of another dimension that froze. So when the earth fell from Atlantean times, from the fourth dimension to the third, an ice galaxy formed above it, and eventually it melted as the planet warmed up and caused, which you call the Great Floods. So it fell, and then the planet grew more blue than gold, and it still created gold in many parts of it, but not to the degree that it used to. If humans had more gold, it might be very different even in this society, but it's more blue and yellow because of the yellow sun, which creates greed and sometimes misfortune if you don't understand how to work the rays in your dream stream of reality. So you can work with the gold if you can find it, and if you're near a national park where it's generated, and that's really beautiful. If not, then you want to work not with yellow, but more turquoise in the rays of your dream streaming for this society. If you dream stream in turquoise, that's generally easy because it's everywhere, and you wrap the turquoise ray around everything that you're dreaming, from family to your outings, to your business, to your enjoyment of your company and friendship and kinship in this way of you. The dreams will straighten out in a way that's very, very beautiful, because in turquoise, people go into the 8-8 rhythm in this society rather than 7-7. 8 is the infinity symbol, and it says, I'm here and you're here, and we're here together in dance and play. That's a much better place to put people, because they'll harmonize with you as a star seed of you. So using the turquoise ray, if you don't have a lot of gold available, is your best bet. And to let go of dream streaming in other rays that aren't harmonious with the people you work with, or try to gather to you for some cause of your own. Dream streaming in gold is better if you can find the means to charge up in it and then dream in that direction. When Per and Asur'Ana were in Kristiansand, it was solid gold because the lakes of Norway hold the golden ray. So if you're living in Norway, you have the golden ray to charge up within for yourself out of a lake system. And that's true here in this lake that we have up on the screen. It charges up the golden ray and then the silver ray in the mountainscape behind it. This is Crater Lake, and it was the base of perhaps a volcano at another time long ago. And it's very, very deep, and the water is very, very cold and almost frozen at the bottom. But whatever it is, the golden ray is a natural statement of fresh water, where a salt water isn't the silver ray. It's a blurring white light. Now, for those of you that live in an islandscape or visit an islandscape, the bright light can really damage the eyes. Asur'Ana talked to you about the angels in the Angel Healing series in Light Wave 2 Poetic Prose about washing your eye with an eye rinse every day and using colloidal silver in it, and also maybe using a seer in the eyes if you can afford it, or you can purchase it. The reason is the lens gets etched in bright white light, and when it etches, then it has to be regrown, and when you rinse it under an eye cup, it will regrow the lens really quickly, and it will slough off, and you will have a new one that's clear again. And so if you're suffering from eye conditions, make sure to eye rinse in purified water with a little eye cup. Asur'Ana went back to rinsing her eyes because it's been so bright that they started to get etched again. She has a little eye cup and she puts filtered water in it and 3 drops of colloidal silver and rinses each eye with it. And it just took care of her problem within a week. So we're recommending that now because the bright light of the sea can be very detrimental to eyesight. People living on the ocean or sailing around a bit may have troubles with that soon, which is hard for them to understand. And be aware and take care of yourself. Here's another condition of dream streaming that is about your health. Sometimes we lose our dreams of health, and then we don't do for ourselves what's really needed. You buy all these vitamins and minerals, and then you don't use them. They sit on the shelf. You think about using the RSG radionic device and then forget, or you think about doing this or that and don't do it for yourself. The dream stream for health is a pale peach, and let's infuse that into the body today. Try to do it each meditation sequence that you can. Infuse it through your molecular structure. Calling peach to you is very easy because it's in the land. The land is kind of a brown peach, and so there's lots of abundance of peach ray, which leads to the health of the body. So infuse yourself with peach ray and bring a dream of you to cause the world of you to align to what you need to eat or add to your diet or all the nutrients that you may need to preserve yourself in light. This is a light cycle and it's very harsh, and the need to preserve yourself is huge. It's huge unless you want to get ill, and generally it's going to be liver failure. You may not know it's coming on, and suddenly it fails and you're through. That's hard to even imagine, but that's what we see for most of the humans out there anyway. They're probably going to die of liver failure if there isn't a nuclear problem. So here's the thing about preserving the liver, and the peach ray will bring that in. There's a need to choose. There's a need to smoothie. There's a need to be on fluids more because the liver can cleanse itself easier if you're on a more of a fluid diet and less of a chew diet. If the liver grows inflamed, then you fast on juices and smoothies. You may not even feel well some mornings because usually the liver will tell you if it's a problem in the morning. You may feel a little queasy or just feel like something's off in the body, or you may have real bad halitosis, which is a sign the liver could be swollen. Therefore, it's best then to choose, and Per had a time where it was really unwell and puling, and he went on a MASH diet where everything went in the blender. If he went out, he did soups and hummus and things that were smooth and creamy that didn't disturb the liver, and he recovered in about 3 months. And so liver peel is another condition all of itself, and it precedes liver failure, and muscle testing is important. Sometimes you lie to yourself about a real serious condition because you just don't want to believe that that's possible, and we understand. So if you have a liver issue, then choose a lot of different things. Whole watermelon, and choose the skin too, which produces abundant levels of fluid that cleanse the liver. Get in the habit of choosing watermelon all the time. Do the whole thing. Put it in quart jars in the refrigerator. It's good for about 3 days, after which it ferments too much. Apple juice is the other one that purifies the spleen, because if you don't have a liver problem, you can have a spleen problem, and in the pitch ray you will better discern what's going on for your body. There's also kidney problems and kidney stones, and that can be horrific. One thing we know about a seer is it clears out the kidneys like you wouldn't even believe, but it is expensive. Cell food is also good, and there are many nutrients. And when you fast more and choose more, your body does produce redox molecules more greatly. Now we'll explain some things about programming. Deprogramming you in the body also occurs in the golden octave. So if you can emulsify, say, heavily in the golden octave on a holiday to a national park, you will deprogram yourself, and then things release that you can't imagine, because that's what the golden ray does. This society is so rigid in their programming because of lack of the golden octave that would have smoothed things over a long time ago. People are more mellow in certain regions like Kauai. The natives or the local people and people that live there, they mellow out because the golden octave is so strong it deprograms them of their negativity. That's hard to imagine, but that's true. You are a living program and algorithms and equations, and the golden ray takes what's negative and releases it to the winds of time so that you can be better in your world. But it also does it in a way through the molecular infrastructure, which is where the programs are stored. And so emulsifying in the golden ray is very important, and it may be deceiving because some national parks have the golden ray and others don't. Asur'Ana knows that the Blue Mountains does. She also knows that Lamington National Park does, which I think is outside of Brisbane. But whatever it is, that's where there are big influxes of golden ray to this day. And if you can get there in Australia, that's beautiful. There may be other places. Uluru doesn't have golden ray anymore, although it's very beautiful. The coast doesn't because it's pure white light, and you have to be careful of that because it can be very, very harsh on the psyche. White light that purifies is luminescent, and the white light of the sea is not luminescent. It is of this lake. So lakes can be better to live near than the sea in this time period, because lakes have luminescent light by and large almost everywhere, and so lake regions are much better for luminescent light, and mountain ranges can have harsh white light too. So you have to be careful if you're living in the Rockies or some place like the Alps. Even Iceland has a bright white light condition. So we just say be careful with yourselves and dream stream in a region that works for the health of your body and the health of everything. Try to get yourself out of places that don't work for you in general, and that's a love of Tao. So when you go into Tao dreaming, your Tao may rearrange your future for a change you're not expecting unless you choose to envision it with him. So we'll speak to Tao vision, which isn't in the third eye area, and it is powerful to let go of all the negativity that we work through in those psychic webinars that you've been enjoying. And the truth is that the Tao of you has a blueprint or a plan or map for your life as a seed. You want to open that map now, and it's for your Tao to read. And he'll look at where your map didn't align in this life of yours, and try to make adjustments for the future to allow it to align better for what it is you're here to do. From a C point of view, what it is you're here to do is understand yourself enough and understand your world and understand the things that others perhaps can't understand because they're not well in any aptitude of self-realization. They're just not well. You may be able to look at you and look at others and say, there's a negative pattern and a negative program that's up in me, and I'm reacting in negativity rather than in a positive notion that I want to take my life forward in the golden octave and not backwards into the sickness of time where negative programs built up due to the nature of my history. So here we're going to talk about history and dreaming. The history of you was in sound, and it dreamt a particular way and was in its own way very rigid. And you dreamt wherever you've lived, and it came to you by the way of the society by and large, even though you chose a spiritual path known as ascension into light wave synergy. In the past is a direction to take you to a point where you can understand yourself better, and that is in the map by and large. We all looked at it last night to see what it was in the map that needed to be enforced in the dream stream of your life. Okay? We're saying that because the society in light kind of overrides your life map. We know how it overrides a lot of things, and we released a lot of programming in the recent webinars to release the social systems that get in the way of your life mission, get in the way of your truth, get in the way of the expression of yourself as a star seed, get in the way of many things. As you release them to the winds of time, the challenges of tomorrow diminish some, and that was our goal in that series of webinars. Because if you're challenged a lot, the programming can rise up and create difficult circumstances that are hard to surmount, maybe not just about society, but also about the ribbons in time. So we're going to talk about time a little bit here. So what we want to release in programming today is about ribbons of time, because what happens is the past ribbons in time got into your future, causing which you've already forgiven and released and grown out of to repeat, and that's very painful because you suddenly end up in the same circumstance and say, I already forgave this 3 times now. What the heck is going on? Why did this circumstance occur again? It manifests at the speed of light, and suddenly something's there that is less than wonderful, that you didn't really want to create in the first place. Erasure is a natural state C standard of something you know how to do and trigger. So you're going to erase the ribbons in time going back to birth, and usually there's 40, and if there's more, your Tao will point them out and let you erase them. Then the past is less likely to recreate itself in your future, and you're freer to dream stream in light independent of what you've experienced in the history of you through time. It's hard to explain why that happens, except that you're leaving sound behind and emerging into light, and it's an interplay of a problem really for this whole society. Young people will overcome it easily, and even the teenagers or young 20s will overcome it easily because their ribbons in time are shorter and fewer because they're younger. But for those of you over 50, they are very enunciated there, and you find yourself recreating your past at the speed of light, and sometimes in circumstance you would rather not have it all in your life in this time period. So as you erase the ribbons in time that cause your past to resurface in the future, it frees you up to dream more purely as who you are, how you direct it, and where you're going in this life stream of yours. Life stream is not dream stream, and we'll explain the difference. With dream stream, you wrap around the businesses or the practices or the things that you want to dream with. Life stream is a system of light that carries your life forward in increments of 30 days. That's why Asur'Ana really couldn't plan a holiday more than perhaps 30 days out. She couldn't do it because her life stream won't generate it more than 30 days out, and that's true for all of you in light. Now you may go to Expedia or some travel agency and book something 4 months out or 3 months out or whatever it is, and the agency holds the dream solid for you to get on the plane or go wherever you're going. But if you're just to book it yourself, it won't work very easily. And it's hard to explain, but dream stream is in the now. So you dream in the now, and then you wrap it around people. You dream it in the now when you see them, or when you get together with them, or you do whatever you do with them. You don't dream it tomorrow. You don't dream it yesterday. You don't dream it anywhere but now. That's very, very different from sound-based dreaming where you have a past, a present, a future. You know you're heading in that direction, and you're going to dream that way until you die. That's not true in light at all. And so in dreaming now, you can still plan for your future some, but usually it's less than a few months' time. If you're in a business that has a dream that's solid, then it won't feel that way at all because it's a company that will be here maybe till the end of time or wherever light takes over and breaks it apart, which may or may not happen this cycle because the dreams are rigid in the buildings and the factories and in the places people congregate. They are overdeveloped many regions, and it's filled with homes and businesses and practices and all that stuff. It just may not change because of the rigidity of whatever Shatar introduced in his dream streaming for humanity. And so all we can say for you is that part remains constant, which is good perhaps in a way because your business will always be there if you're working for someone else. If you're self-employed, if you have a business, say some little shop you buy or whatever, that's constant from whoever's owned that shop or been in that building through time. So it's there, and even the new buildings that are being built have a dream in it that will catch for a long time. So don't worry about that. What's more difficult to anticipate is independent dream stream for those of you that are independent dreamers, because as you wrap the light around things, they can align for you, but maybe not for them, and that's confusing. See? It's confusing because why can't it align for them? Well, perhaps they're not running light, so the dream is what they are in sound. And if you can see what this sound dream is, then you know what the future is with them because they're not dreaming in light. You may want to call to yourself more clients that dream in light, and many aren't. Their kids may be, but they're not physically, and that means many things to you if you're an independent contractor of some sort and have to generate your business by yourself. What we would recommend is that you associate with a business that generates its own dream from the factory of itself. So we'll explain that in realistic terms. One initiate was with Coldwell Banker, and they had a big dream stream, probably the best in the West. So he didn't associate with anything else because his Tao wouldn't let him. And it always generated business for him, and then he could circumference it to close or to work in its own way to work out for him. So the bigger the company umbrella, the easier it is to dream stream in light wave motion because the company will generate the dream and then you dream stream around it as an independent contractor, and you do very well. That could also be true for insurance industry or for bank loans or for anything where there's an independent contractor agreement. You need to be working for the biggest corporation of the region and under their umbrella, and you will generate your dreams much easier. There are also the little businesses that may employ you and be a lot of fun and be very gifted at manifesting things and suddenly go out of business in light. We'll explain that to you too, especially if you want to be a small business owner, that you have to generate a dream for the community in the business. Now, that can be very difficult for small businesses that don't have a congruency in society. If there's a congruency in society, the small business will flourish. Now, Asur'Ana notices the sushi bars do really well because sushi is popular, and she notices that certain businesses do very well and other ones are going under, because it has to have a congruency of need, and that's just the restaurant cartel. She also notices that the malls are going vacant because people are either shopping online or don't want whatever they're giving. It's a very odd effect of overproduction of something that was useful before there was computers and so much online trade. And so things are changing, and you don't want to be in an industry that is changing too much to a point that you lose your dream stream into it because it's trying to survive. So if you're working for a business that doesn't have a lot of need because the society is changing, then you will lose your dream stream in it, and not only lose your job, but find it hard to recalibrate yourself getting a job again. That can be very difficult in light because the business will just keep sucking your light wave motion into it until you don't have any left to do anything else with. And that's how it works. So if the company or the business you're working for has a big need and it generates it, then you do well, and that's our only point in that. Some things are needed in this current society, and some things are changing drastically due to the internet, and that will put a lot of things out of business unless they change directions as to why they exist. We'll explain one more thing about the corporate world, as they have a ladder that you think you can climb and you don't climb it in light. You might have climbed it in sound with Shatar if you got promoted or ended up in management or whatever it is. But the truth is that in light, you don't bother with the ladder. You just swirl the position you want and then apply for it, and that's all. You swirl in light and see what happens. If you're growing your economy and through changing jobs, then you dream stream more light into the new position and it will pay more. Don't be afraid to job hop every year and increase your economy, and that may be more entertaining to star seeds because you get tired of people after a time anyway. So for a year or two in any companies is perhaps enough, and then you go climb up if you can in a new direction. Some settle for permanent jobs like education that may pay well because of the love of children or the love of people can take you into a service type of position, and that can generate a lot of light and a lot of emulsification, because it's people that motion light and not businesses or buildings. And so that's important to understand. It's the people that you dance with that motion more light together to purify or let go of what isn't really needed in this world of yours. If you have family, you can also instigate that in your home, that you dream in light with your partner, your children, or your parents, if they're there, or maybe other things you do at home with friends. Whatever it is, as you dream stream together, dreams purify and they work out better for each. So you dream stream with people and not computers or objects or buildings really. So if you're applying for a job, the dream stream goes around the one that's interviewing you along with the people in charge of the department and not in the building, or you lose it. Now you lose your dream stream if you try to dream it in the building. It has to go around people, and then it loops around to charge it in a direction that serves you. And that's all we can say about dream streaming for light, as it goes around people and not buildings. And people today are not really knowing what to do about that in this society, and so they charge the business in light and then dream stream around each other. It seems to work, but for these young people working in places that serve young people, and it will have to change in all corridors of dreaming perhaps. And a young generation may foster that, but you have to live in the now with what it is you're here to do and not wait for that. Because that will probably be a lot easier in 20 or 30 years when they're the ones pushing forward in this society. So how do you deal with that in the now? Well, one is to be aware of the sound dreams that people are still playing, and they have a drum beat that carries them forward in the direction of the dream. It's just constant, like a rap, tap, tap, rap, tap, tap, rap, tap, tap. And if you're aware of it, you will see where they're headed. If they're in sound, you can't help them change their dream. So if a client shows up and it's got a rap, tap, tap, rap, tap, tap of a non-cell, you're better off letting them go, because you're not going to change that in light, no matter how much light you apply to the circumstance. Let's say you're a psychologist and you have a client you're working with that has a rap, tap, tap of inability to recover whatever they got going on in their lives. Rap, tap, 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 rap, tap, 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 rap, tap, tap. Understand that and either let them go or bless them, and understand that they probably can't change or recover for what's going on for them. And that's sad, but it's true for a lot of people in sound. It's not true for the kids in light. They'll overcome most everything if you help boost them. So if you're working with children, boost them in light and boost yourself at the same time, and you won't be tired. If you're counseling children and they're suicidal, boost them in light, and they may begin to recover. The suicide is really just lack of light. They need more light in their transfusion, and nothing in this society supports that. So that's a real problem, but unconsciously or subconsciously, you can reprogram them to infuse more light, and you're doing that in your own lives due to star seed system, so that may help them. If you have family members that are disgruntled, boost them in light some and let their dreams smooth out and let their emotional accord grow to be more harmonious with you. And as you dream stream around their field, and that's what will happen is you wrap them in light in an organza of light. And organza is like a ribbon stream. Many of you are getting very gifted at this anyway. So you wrap them in light and suddenly they're better, and so are you for having to be in their presence. If you want to dream stream something new, you look for it within you, first and foremost within your Tao, and not out there in the want ad pages or schooling or whatever. Don't go there first. Go inward and Tao dream it. What do I need to do to make this life better? Where do I need to live it? What type of company or career is best for me? What is it that will lead to more of my realization? Because that's going to be the main Tao cause. He wants you to realize and not just do anything. Sometimes the Tao put you through challenges you can't believe to understand something, and you come out of it feeling like it's a windmill of sorts. Why do you want me to understand that? But you grow out of it. So Tao dreaming generates your growth and not necessarily stagnation, which is important in light anyway, because light always motions and stagnation doesn't. If you stagnate, your dreams dwindle, and suddenly you don't earn enough, or you lose your job, or something else happens. And so dream stream has to be constant, all right, to preserve your economy, your friendship, kinship, and everything else. In light wave society, they don't consume themselves with money, and so people can shift directions more easily and do something else. You still can too through, as we said, re-education or finding something you already qualify for, maybe from the past, and go and do that instead. The world of opportunity is large in light, and yet the society may make it feel like it's reclusive or exclusive or whatever it is that it is, and that's not really true in light. You can dream stream just about anything you wish to, and that's a problem for social classes that say, no, you have to dream within the social classes of what it means to dream that dream. And in some businesses, you have to have the education under your belt to do that. You can't just do anything. You have to have your certificate or whatever it is, and then you can go do that. For some businesses, that's not hard to acquire. For others, it's a little more difficult. But whatever it is, will tell you 3 things about change. When you choose change with your Tao, first it ribbons around 3 possibilities, and then you can witness those possibilities inside your seed and in your Tao gate of fostering. You look at those dreams and they look like bubbles. You enter them holographically and live what that might mean, or what that might do, or what might give you in your life. Then you choose with your Tao which dream you want to manifest. Now, Asur'Ana recalls this very vividly about Per, that he showed up about 5 years before he presented himself in the physical, in a bubble of a man who knew himself enough to be with her, who was the medicine man of himself, and also that he had a loving and compassionate heart. Therefore, he did show up, and he looked just like the image in the bubble, which surprised and delighted her. About a month into their relationship, Asur'Ana said to Per, "You are my bubble that I dreamt with my Tao, and there it was, and here you are, and here we are. Isn't that wonderful?" So if you're looking for partnership, it's like that. But there's something else that we can tell you about that too. In partnership, there'll be 3 potential mates that will show up, and they may be very diversified in what they do, who they are, how they create their economy, and whatever it is that carries it forward. Now that's a different sequence of dreaming than for business. For business, you have 3 dream possibilities as to where it might work or lead or whatever, and you can enter each one and see which one you prefer and choose for it. And that's the best thing, because then your Tao dreams alongside with you in terms of what you're going to cause and effect and create in this life of yours. We're going to tell you something more about life missions and Tao dreaming. Your Tao dreaming will align your life mission into whatever that is you're trying to manifest. Life mission isn't a small thing for Tao, because Tao has a divested interest to take the seed life in a particular direction that allows you to understand something else, and that's true in any seed society. But here is not true for the masses. Asur'Ana was once told that they're the backdrop and you're in the foreground as a seed. You're in the foreground and you can dream it live and they can't. So let it go, because they can only dream what they dream, and as a seed, when you reflect on that, that's true for the people that are non-seeds. They dream what they dream. They don't adventure to do something new. They go do it their whole life, or whatever it is that they foster. And perhaps that's okay for them. But for seeds, often that's not okay for you. You want to do something else because there's a charge in you that it should be better or different or something else that I really want to do or review. I'll tell you about many things, that there is a dream stream for you to reorder your life to understand your mission. if you're older, you're understanding the mission that grew out of your life. Because if you're in your 60s or more, and even in your 50s, you're really reviewing your life for what did you accomplish or understand since the day you were born until now. There's still perhaps a charge to go do something new, but Taos don't usually change major directions in older age in star seeds. It's because it cracks you, okay? Because there's a certain point where all the changes you lived through, if you're in your 50s or 60s, comes to a point of understanding. And if you try to make a U-turn, it just cracks everything that you accomplished. So there's no point to a major change in your 50s and 60s. It's to live what you know and do what you do and enhance it some until you're through. If you're in your 30s and 40s, it is to dream stream your change so that your life mission can come true. We're sorry it's a very shortened lifespan here because in C galaxies, sometimes humans lived to 90 or 120, and Cs often reach 120 and try many things and have a major U-turn maybe in their 60s. That's hard to do given the changes on this planet and changes in general in relation to light. So if that's true, accept that it's time to review everything you did and what you did accomplish and what you do know from it, and carry on in the occupation that you have if you're not retired. It's really okay to do what you do, but be well with that, because that's what happens in any C system, because they don't want you to break trying to do something new. If you try to do something new and it didn't work out and you had to let it fold, they understand it was to preserve you and not having a break in a new occupation that isn't really for you. One other thing we will say about the 20s, 30s, and 40s, there are a lot of reversals. So life can go in one direction for a time, and then it inverses and it goes in another direction for a time, then inverses again and goes in another direction. You may leave behind what seemed sensible to go do something new and it succeeds, and you leave that behind to go do something new and it succeeds. That's how sea life generally works. So if you look back on your life and say you try all these different things, and generally they're in 7 to 10 year increments, and then you just had to go do something new. So you did, and that's beautiful. Understand that life for a seed is like that. You're always trying to understand yourself. You're always trying to understand what they call the igloo of you, which is the sea around you and your archives and your information that is there for you about light emotion, about how to transfuse, about how to dream stream, and how to live stream. If you need to open more books about what we're talking about, just let them flutter open to allow the equations and algorithms to enter your body in your field. We recommend that each learn Reiki, and we're going to explain Reiki. Reiki is symbols that go through light and is actually more effectual through light than it is effectual through sound. It will clear out your meridians. It will clear out your molecules because they spin in different directions to clear out what's impure. And so if you study with a very gifted Reiki master, you will learn all the symbols and then you can run it through your own molecular structure. The best way to do that is envision yourself in front of you and give yourself your own Reiki treatment for those of you that already know Reiki. It's just there's many things that need to be brought forward to preserve you. Now, Asur'Ana never learned Reiki, but she learned in her work with Berkeley Psychic Institute that handled it in a different way. Same problems, just a different way to handle it. We have gone through a lot of deprogramming, but when you deprogram, there's a need to purify because debris can build up in the molecular structure, and that's where Reiki comes in. If you choose to study Reiki, don't do it online. Find a gifted master and learn all the symbols and learn however they move their hands, and don't regret it ever, and give yourself treatments frequently, and you'll be all the better. There's a time and a place for everything. I think Reiki was introduced way before its time, but some people are gifted at transfusing even in the last emerging metaphysical movement cycle, but it diminished over time. Asur'Ana went to a whole life expo years ago. I think it's been renamed Conscious Life Expo. Anyway, about half the people were motioning light, and now if you went, you see that the young people are, but the older ones aren't. It's like they turned off their light and they were afraid perhaps to adventure forward in a new direction. It's really hard to say. Whatever it is, learn Reiki if you can and be well with that. If you know another healing system, learn it anyway because it's useful in many ways to clearing in a way your other system may not know how. And Reiki is a system that is light originated by Taos to help purify the field. Okay? Now, we're going to tell you a little bit more about live stream. Live stream is a direction of your own motion to keep your life going, and it flows and it grows and it goes in different directions, especially as you reverse the life. So in your 20s, 30s, 40s, and up until your 50s, you reverse in one direction, and then you reverse in another, and then you reverse in another, and then reverse in another, and then there comes a time for a life review, and usually that begins somewhere between 55 and 60. The life review is to assess who you are and what you've learned, and that's a live stream motion. Some people get very introspective about the life and start to remember things and forgive. them in another direction because you're more mature now than when the original incident played out that disturbed you. So the live stream motion of life review can take flight, and suddenly you're in the past and you're all over the map and the things that you've lived through in this life of yours. It's a very beautiful time of review if you have time to rest and maybe not work as much in retirement. But we know that retirement is going up and up. In Norway, it's now 67. I think in many countries at 65. And if your life review begins at 55, what does that mean to you? That you have to keep working through your life review? The live stream does adjust for that, and it may back up your life review until 60, but not any later. So if you're past 60, you're well in your life review. That's just the way that it is, and there's no way to change that really as a seed. When you're in your life review, you may dream it, but it's probably better to do it more lucidly in this time period of light. Because as you sit and meditate, and whatever crops up in your vision of your life, or whatever crops up for you to look at, that's something to forgive. And you may become much more lucid about your past as a result of your live stream review. Now the reviews also sequence in reversals. So if you're younger and you're coming up to a reversal where you're going to go do something new, there's a huge life review that comes up. Asur'Ana recalls that as she left full-time school teaching and worked as a substitute teacher so that she could focus on her psychic work and then later into developing her writing in the Dreamtime Ascension School, or DAS. It was about a 3-year life review, and substitute teaching was a wonderful occupation to give her a lot of time to look at her own issues and forgive. It was very thorough, and when she took off in a new direction, it was very beautiful. So at times of reversal of your life, you will receive a life review, and you have to forgive or let go of what doesn't align with the next dream that's going to surface. In times of light, 3 years is probably too long because light motions things more rapidly, and the life review is only a year. And then you're on and off in another direction. Generally, during the life review, you don't make any changes. You carry on in your current profession. The life review is used to realign your future. And if you try to do it without being there, it doesn't align at all, and you stay where you are. So if you haven't had a long-term occupation that's the same, and you didn't really turn directions, then it could be due to a life review circumstance that didn't complete. But often there are other things that Tao looks at in relation to the stability of the family or the stability of your circumstance. They may say, "Oh, you're really kind of gifted at what you're doing, so stick with that." That's really okay for you to stick with that for your economy. And then the life review of you goes into other changes that may grow out of your own circumstance, whether perhaps it's a new partner, perhaps it's a change in the family, perhaps it's another change that you grow through. Change is change, and it can have its emotional chords of strife sometimes, especially if there's a divorce or a loss or a change of something that you weren't really expecting because it doesn't serve your path with Tao anymore. So that's how star seeds go. You have your 7-year window, and then in the old times, those 3 years worth of review, and then boom, a change. Today, it could be 1 year of review, and boom, the change. If you're lucid and you pay attention internal to you, you see what you're shifting inside of you in order to make that change possible. Asur'Ana would say, oh, you just deprogram yourself and let go of all the programs that don't align. Bring in new systems that do, and then you're charged up in a new direction. And that's how she did it. With Reiki, it would purify the programs out of the molecular structure too, in light wave motion and not sound. That's why she's recommending that for each of you to go learn and have a good time with, as there's many gifted people and teachers out there that have something else to share, maybe other than what Asur'Ana can offer. It's very, very helpful to your own life and lifespan. We're going to go forward in another issue for each of you that are facing maybe a life change. It's stressful to know you have to make a life change, that you have to move, you have to let go of a partner that isn't working. You have to find an occupation that works better for you because it's just not right for you what you're doing. There's a level of stress in it. An initiate, Scott, remembers that when he went to do real estate studies, he dragged his feet and let it steady for a year before he went and passed his test really quickly. Scott was one of the first to leave the room along with his friend that they had done this intensive on how to pass tests for real estate, and it worked. So anyway, when it all came through, Scott was finally ready to bridge into his change. He went to work for Coldwell Banker, and suddenly, kaboom, he was done with his parents' business. He wasn't going to do another day in their office. They found someone else to replace him, and that was it. That's often how it can go or grow, is that you may stagnate in something for a time, and kaboom, you're off in a new direction because the whole dream finally sinks in for what you're going to do next. So if you're facing a life reversal or change, that's how it works. Sometimes there's a growth in your occupation of perhaps more management or something else that you could do within that particular profession that interests you. Don't limit yourself to thinking you can only do what you do, that there's many things that may be out there that you don't think are possible that might be. If you just think about how your training or your education might apply to the world as you know it. Now, we'll tell you another story about an associate of ours, Pualani. She stumbled into this weird position of electronic books. The owner liked her and put her in a customer service role for a while. Pualani called on different people that used their service, but she was afraid a lot. But then he fired her and she said, "Okay, that's better for me." And so Pualani wrote up a resume that she was this customer service representative. She didn't include the other things she did for them at all. And she applied for this job with a company called OmniFax. They hired her right away, and she didn't have a clue about what it meant to do this. She just tried to think it out with her Tao very carefully, so she'd be okay doing what she do until she figured it out. Pualani was very shy, and making a presentation was really hard. A gifted and humorous salesperson watched her demonstration, and he said, "Honey, you have to learn something new." So he gave her some perks, and then she went off and did better. Well, whatever it is, life unfolds for C's kind of like that. You manifest something and suddenly it means something else. I mean, Pualani was a gifted resume writer, having worked in a printing business with her father, where they wrote people's resumes all the time, especially the CEOs in Las Vegas and Boulder City. So she knew how to make it sound really, really professional. Now, if you are trying to rewrite your resume and take yourself in a new direction, go seek out a professional that can help you. If you don't know how to do this for yourself, because it opens the doorway or the pathway to the interview, and that's really all that is about. There are services like that, and there's headhunters too that will place you. There's temporary work too, where you can work for different offices and see what you like to do. Be free with yourself, do something adventurous, and see how it all aligns. We have one more topic that we'll mention about dream stream in this society. A hire, the person that first of all sounds the most reasonable, maybe on the resume, or your LinkedIn, or your website if you have one, or whatever you do. And if you have a nice picture, that starts it. But when you come for that interview, you have to be on it for what they need to see and know and hear. Now, there is a ray that aligns dreams for interviews, and it can align it for other applications, and we'll explain it too. It's not pale blue or pink, it's lavender. So first, dream stream the gold ray, and then dream stream the lavender ray. Don't blend them, and let them see what they need to see to hire you. That's a funny effect, but it does work. It worked in a particular time period in Asur'Ana's life before she became a school teacher. She applied for the research analyst position in San Francisco. Asur'Ana bathed the interviewer, who was this tall and kind Nordic blonde gentleman, in his 60s. He was impressed with Asur'Ana's intelligence. He hired her the next day. The next thing she knows, she was flying off with a group that they have recently hired to Texas for a 1-month training. And that was an adventure all her own because she hadn't really had that much travel in that time period of her life. It was adventurous to go through the Northwest and go here and there and here and there, meet up with people, and that served her in that time period of her life for understanding the world in a direction of business. So what we're saying to you is that first of all, you need the right resume to get the interview if you're looking for a new job. Second of all, you need to present yourself in a way they want to hire, and then you have to fulfill on those capabilities wherever they are. And that sometimes is not always easy. If it's something that's not exactly in the range of what you've thought of before, and the way to do that is the turquoise ray. So that's what Asur'Ana did. She just ran turquoise around everybody, and they liked her and harmonized with her. They all felt better when she was in the office. Now we'll explain 3 things about the turquoise ray. One is that it does harmonize people. So if you have to work with them day to day, run a lot of turquoise ray, and your office will be happy. Because it just kind of shucks sick dreams of sound. The other thing is don't mix too much green into the turquoise. It's a pale turquoise and not a solid turquoise that you think perhaps you see in the sea. It's a pale turquoise, and you wrap it around them, and they harmonize into 8/8 rhythms. They may be a little less productive at work, but you have a better time. That's useful if there's any kind of electrical system of energy or dream in the building or in the people. The turquoise pretty much throws it back into the wall. So the electrical dream stream that's so prevalent in machinery, offices, malls, and train stations and everything, you run the turquoise ray, and it just goes into the building or into the wall of the train, into the wall of the car. It's just better for you and everyone because the electrical current is very agitating in life. People don't sit well in it at all. The other thing about turquoise is it aligns people into an 8/8 rhythm of infinity, which is like we're in the infinity motion of our own space and not necessarily yours, because they don't synergize with people. Normally, synergy is a figure 8 motion that connects to the land for starseeds, and we went through that, I think, in the last webinar. So with people in this society, they don't synergize with each other. They might synergize within, but maybe not with each other. And the ones that don't synergize within in light are going to get sick pretty rapidly, given the currents of light hitting humanity. That may hit your office, for suddenly this one's sick with this, and that one's sick with this, and that's very sad, but that's just the truth of what can happen. So when you wrap the turquoise ray around people, they go into figure 8 motions, not necessarily inside themselves, but with you. So they're more in harmony. And if they do the figure 8 with others, then they're more harmonious together. Often running the turquoise ray is very gifted at causing that. So try that in your office, escape, and try it at home too. You might find that your kids really respond to that if they're little, because they want to dance and sing and play and be enthusiastic. And the turquoise ray does lead to that. The yellow ray leads to mental activity. Those of you that are heavily mental because you're in the IT industry, or you're a programmer, or you do something that needs mental ability, such as accounting, or all these other things that people do. The yellow ray is very diversive, and it triggers people to perhaps not get along or not be well with one another, if it's the primary ray in the business or the office. So if you add the turquoise ray, it doesn't blend with the yellow, and it harmonizes the circumstance. So even in an electrical circumstance, say the IT industry, is very different when there's a lot of turquoise ray running. We'll speak to one other thing that we think is very helpful in dream streaming, not just corporate work, but your life at home, and that's the pale blue or pale pink ray. Depending on what the family prefers is care space, and if it's with a beloved, it's either blue or pink. You wrap them in it, and then they're better, and you can sing and sway and soar in love space rather than something else. In light, it needs certain rays to trigger the response of care. That's true in any light wave society. And those are the people that roam to the marketplace to trade, go into their care space and sway with each other, and trade this piece of art for that group of vegetables or whatever they trade for, and it's all done in deep care. That's an ideal image that Asur'Ana often draws upon, because many of you seeds were meant to be born in that kind of galaxy. Somehow the seed ended up here and wobbled in some ways from how this world creates itself, but you can emulate that with your family. You share time to talk to one another and be present in the body and be there for them. Look at your partner of your children or your family or your friends in the eyes and say hello. And be present to love, be present to heal, be present to flow. Wrap them in pink or blue in your home space or in your time out in the world with acquaintances, and allow the love to flow and see what happens in your exchanges that's different or blows your mind away, because it was just amazing to be with them that way. Be the master of light in your dream stream, and not an ignorant one that doesn't understand how light works. And that's really where we're going to complete this webinar. To be the master of light, because you can choose the rays that you run to go through the body and around others. Most people don't know enough to choose for anything, and so that's sad for them in a way not to know what to do. Whatever it is, we're going to say 3 things, okay? One is that life in light isn't a challenge when you know how to foster the correct race. If life is challenging, then you're not fostering the right race into your business or with your family or with your friends or with whatever you're dreaming. So examine the race that you're running. What are you running that doesn't work in your life? Try to run the turquoise and gold if you can find a national park to attune to, and see how that starts to change this world of yours around you. Now with family, you can run the pink and the blue. I don't recommend them in the office. It can be there in deep friendships of care, but maybe not with everyone. But wherever it is, the pink and the blue add the effect of deep love and kinship to your experience with certain people. If you run love at the office, they may like it for a time, but turn into hate. Something in this society triggers hate when there's too much love, and that's a very sad thing to happen in light, because hate can be very brutal to the psyche or to the ethereal. We're sad about that, but that is their societal norm and not yours as a star seed. So keep the pink and the blue for at home even if you're alone. Keep it for close kinship with a heart, and run the turquoise and the gold ray, and you'll be better for it in your dream stream. Remember to Tao dream in your life map and in your life mission and in your star seed truth. That map may change directions for you if you're facing a reversal in your 30s, 40s, or 50s. It can happen in the early 50s too, and so we say to you that dream stream and live stream do co-align periodically, and it's about once a week where the live stream charges the dream stream to keep your dreams motioning in your life, and when the live stream merges with the dream stream, there's a certain surge of potency perhaps in you to do something new, because that's kind of what it generates. You have these ideas of what you might want to do. Maybe they're creative and you need to go paint or do something new with your hands. Perhaps it's a vision for a new partner, or a vision for some new career, or a vision for something else you would like to do. And that happens for some people if you're on a 7-day work week, probably on Sunday. But some of you have different kinds of careers where it's more fluid or free, and it happens, and you have a vision for something you might do. Then each time the live stream and the dream stream merge, it takes you forward in Tao dreaming. So you have to Tao dream it to foster what you want to dream anew. And so that 1 day a week, if it can be a quiet day where you tune inward and look at your futures with your Tao. You can see what direction to put your dream stream to take you in a new direction of who you are and where you're going and what it is you would like to foster in this life of yours. Dream stream and live stream merger is a beautiful flight path of either of any of the flight paths we talked about in the last webinar. There's the flight path of the ego that most of you know that soars above the sky and has future visions. And then there's the flight path of the elephant, which provides forgiveness and understanding, and the flight path of the zebra, which is the flight path of compassion. Therefore, when you meditate, you can go into those flight paths when you dream stream and your life stream merges, and let it carry you to a point where you can forgive what you need to and find compassion for what you need to, and then envision what it is you need to do ahead in this life of yours. That's how altered states can complement dreaming or dream streaming in this life of yours, because it's in the altered state that you see the new vision of what it is you're going to do. It's important to understand that visions of tomorrow, for visions of your Tao don't come out of standard vision. You have to go into an altered state. An altered state comes out of the cortex, producing an S stream where the synapse is aligned to create S stream above your head. As that happens, you flip into an altered state, and from there you can envision your future or envision what it is that you're trying to do in this life of yours. If you're in a life review, then you will envision what it is that of the past that maybe you need to forgive in the now, and all the wisdom of you. And then something else releases in your past that finally lets something else free up to do something else, perhaps in this retirement cycle of you. We won't say any more about any of that, except that love is still pertinent to all of this. When you love and you bless and you care and you forgive and find compassion, a new vision of you arises for your life ahead. We can't explain it any other way. It's just that way in this world of existence on this planet that stems from forgiveness, and then motions into compassion, and then emotions into a new vision that can only show as you've forgiven the past enough and find compassion for it to create yourself anew. That's a part of the path of mastery for any starseed within and through time, and it's just as important to ascension as it is to light wave synergy. You have to find your forgiveness for each. You have to find your compassion for each. And then a new vision for yourself, and your tomorrow grows. Look at your judgments about others and about people that disturb you, and release the negative programming associated. Because remember, it's all about you. Any charge you have is a negative program in you. Forgive it and release it and come to peace. Find your way to forgiveness and compassion, and then grow into something new that you can envision as the ties of the past release for a new tomorrow to be born and to take flight into this life of yours. We're going to conclude our verbal article with these comments. We love you and bless you always as fellow starseeds to Asur'Ana. We love you, we bless you, we thank you for your journey too. Namaste.